On a snow-dusted afternoon, a family begins scrubbing every corner of the house long before any guest is due. A white tablecloth is smoothed flat across the table, its corners tucked with careful, practiced hands.
Underneath that tablecloth, someone quietly tucks a small handful of dried hay before anyone else notices. One extra chair is pulled up to the table, and one extra plate is set beside it, empty. No one at this table is missing. The extra place isn't for anyone in particular, and yet it's there.
A thin white wafer, stamped with a simple nativity image, rests wrapped on its own small plate.
Children keep drifting to the frosted window, eyes scanning the darkening sky above the rooftops. Nobody touches the food yet, even though the whole kitchen has been full of warm smells all afternoon.
The rule is simple and unbroken. No one eats until one particular thing appears outside.
A grandmother lights a single candle and sets it carefully in the window facing the street. The whole house has gone quiet and slow, waiting on something none of them can control.
This is a Polish Christmas Eve called Wigilia, and it runs on its very own careful rhythm. That extra plate isn't a mistake, and it isn't left over from planning. It's left empty on purpose. It sits there for a guest who may never actually show up at the door tonight. In Polish tradition, an old saying explains it plainly. A guest in the home is like a blessing in the home. If a stranger genuinely knocked on this door tonight, they would be seated at that chair immediately, no questions asked.
The door isn't locked for anyone tonight, and the table always has room for one more.
It's a strange kind of readiness, preparing warmly for someone who statistically will probably never come. And yet the family sets that plate anyway, every single year, without fail or complaint.
By early evening, every child in the house has become an amateur astronomer, watching the sky intently.
The moment they're actually waiting for isn't a knock at the door. It's a single point of light.
The first star of the evening is the true signal that the whole meal can finally begin.
That first star is meant to echo the Star of Bethlehem, guiding the whole household toward the table. Until it appears, the wafer stays wrapped, the extra plate stays empty, and everyone stays hungry and waiting. The moment someone spots it and calls out, the entire mood in the house shifts instantly.
Coats are shed, candles are lit fully, and the family finally gathers properly around the table.
But even then, nobody reaches for a fork just yet. One more small ritual comes first.
So what exactly happens at that table, and why has it survived almost unchanged for generations?
Long before this ever became a Christmas tradition at all, ancient Slavic winter customs already quietly honored this exact time of year. Midwinter meals back then once quietly welcomed the memory of family who had come before, setting a place in their honor. Over time, as that old custom slowly blended with Christian belief, that same empty place gradually took on a new meaning.
Instead of honoring the past alone, it became reserved for a wandering traveler who might genuinely need warmth tonight.
An old Polish saying captures the whole idea in just a handful of simple, well-worn words. Loosely, it means a guest arriving at your home is treated with the same reverence as something sacred. That single idea quietly shapes almost every part of how this particular evening unfolds. Before anyone touches a plate, the family gathers around that thin white wafer called opłatek. Each person breaks a small piece from someone else's wafer, offering a quiet wish for the year ahead. It moves slowly around the whole table, person by person, until everyone has shared a piece with everyone else. Old disagreements are often quietly set aside during this moment, at least for the length of one evening. Once the wafer has gone all the way around, the actual meal can finally properly begin. Wigilia dinner is traditionally meatless, built instead around fish, mushrooms, grains, and vegetables from the surrounding land. That comes from an old fasting custom, treating the evening as a quiet form of preparation, not indulgence. A proper traditional Wigilia table is expected to carry exactly 12 separate dishes, never one single dish short. Some say that number honors the 12 apostles, others say it quietly represents the 12 months still lying just ahead. Either way, everyone gathered at the table is gently expected to try at least a small taste of every single dish. Skipping even just one dish is considered a small piece of bad luck for whichever month that dish was meant to represent. A deep red beet soup called borscht, often with small mushroom dumplings floating inside, usually opens the meal. Golden fried carp, pierogi filled with cabbage and mushroom, and poppy seed pastries commonly round out the table.
Beneath all of it, that hidden layer of hay under the tablecloth is still quietly doing its job. It's meant to recall a humble manger, a gentle reminder that the evening isn't really about abundance.
In some homes, after the meal, someone still gently pulls a single strand of hay out from underneath.
The color of that strand is treated almost playfully, a small bit of harmless fortune-telling for the year ahead.
Gifts, when they come, are usually opened only after every single dish has been properly tasted. Even then, the evening rarely turns loud. Wigilia tends to stay hushed, warm, and unusually unhurried.
There's no rush to clear the table or move on to something else once the meal winds down.
Conversation tends to stay slow and quiet, more reflective than celebratory, more grateful than festive.
Later in the night, many families walk together through the cold to a midnight church service. The service is called pasterka, meaning something close to shepherd's watch, echoing the nativity story itself. Snow often falls quietly outside the church windows, while candles flicker warmly along every windowsill inside. By the time the family walks home, the whole town has usually gone soft, white, and silent. And through all of it, back at the house, that one extra chair has stayed exactly where it was. Nobody moves it. Nobody folds it away. It simply waits, the same as it did before dinner started.
In a strange way, its emptiness is the whole point. It was never really meant to be filled.
It exists purely so that, if it ever were needed, the welcome would already be sitting there ready.
Step into a Polish home today, whether it's a small city apartment or an old countryside farmhouse, and the chair is still there.
Modern kitchens tend to be smaller now, and traditional ingredients aren't always easy to find. Yet families still somehow find a way.
Some apartments have no room for real hay under the tablecloth, so a single small sprig stands in for it. Younger cooks now quietly add vegetarian or even fully plant-based versions of a few of the 12 dishes. Families scattered abroad often gather around video calls now, treating the glowing screen almost like a seat of its own.
For Poles living far from home, recreating even a few of the 12 dishes becomes its own quiet comfort.
Some restaurants and hotels across Poland now offer a full Wigilia set menu for people who can't get home. Local charities and community groups host public Wigilia dinners each year for anyone who might otherwise eat alone. At those larger public tables, the same idea repeats itself, just at a much bigger scale than one household.
An extra chair for a stranger becomes an entire hall of chairs open to strangers, all on the same night.
Even busy, modern households that skip half the old rules will usually still keep that one particular gesture. The wafer still gets passed around, even in the smallest studio apartment, even among just 2 or 3 people. Some families now text a photo of their table to relatives abroad, a small digital echo of the same table.
What hasn't changed through all of it is the reason that extra plate goes out in the first place.
It was never really about who might fill that seat. It was always about being ready if someone did. A custom born from watching the winter sky has quietly outlived nearly every other change around it.
Step back from the candles, the wafer, and the 12 careful dishes, and something simpler comes into focus.
This whole evening is built around a small, quiet promise. Room will always be made just in case. Nobody actually expects a stranger to walk through that door most years. The waiting itself is still the point. It's a form of hospitality prepared well before it's ever needed, not offered only once someone shows up asking. That's a harder, quieter kind of generosity than simply being kind to a guest who's already sitting there. It means setting the table for someone you'll probably never actually meet, just in case they need it. Somewhere in Poland tonight, a child is still pressed against a cold window, watching hard for one small light. The whole household will wait for that light before eating a single bite, exactly as families have for generations. An empty chair, kept ready out of pure habit and quiet hope, says more than most spoken welcomes ever could. It says even if you are a total stranger, there was already a place being kept for you here. Most homes will feed the guests who arrive. Fewer will quietly prepare a seat for the ones who might. That small, deliberate gesture might be the warmest part of the entire evening,
warmer even than the candles.
Wherever this curious fox happens to travel next, this particular quiet lesson is one worth carrying along for the journey. Hospitality doesn't always need an actual guest standing there to prove itself. Sometimes it just needs one ready waiting chair.
So the very next time a table gets set, anywhere at all in the world, consider leaving just one small space open.
Because somewhere tonight, a family is still watching a quiet winter sky, waiting patiently for its very first star.